Welcome to the regular meeting of the Cape Coral Youth Council. Today's date is December 9th, 2022. This meeting will now come to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, Chair. Before I call the roll, members Brucker, Ordonez, Ozinski, Polanco, and Reamer have requested to be excused, and I will mark them so. Anchetta,
Here.
Aravello,
Here.
Bella,
Here.
Bernal,
Present.
Fikethaler,
Here.
Little,
Here.
Negron,
Here.
Rodriguez, Zadjewicz. Eight present, 6 excused.
Thank you. Next, we will move on to item 4, approval of the agenda and changes to the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda? Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda for the December 9th, 2022 meeting as presented? Vice Chair Little?
I motion to approve the agenda as presented on December 9th, 2022.
Can I have a second? Member Anchetta?
I second that motion.
Vice Chair Little made the motion. Member Anchetta made the second to approve the agenda for the December 9th meeting as presented. Any discussion? Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Anchetta,
Aye.
Aravello,
Aye.
Bella,
Aye.
Bernal,
Aye.
Fikethaler,
Aye.
Little,
Aye.
Negron,
Aye.
Rodriguez. 8 approved, motion carried.
Thank you. Next, we move on to item 5, approval of the minutes. The meeting minutes for September 23rd, 2022 were attached to your backup material and emailed to the council for review and consideration prior to the meeting. Can I have a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes from September 23rd, 2022 as presented? Vice Chair Little?
I motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of September 23rd, 2022 as presented.
Can I have a second? Member Bella?
I second that motion.
Vice Chair Little made the motion. Member Bella made the second to approve the regular meeting minutes from September 23rd, 2022 as presented. Any discussion? We will now take a voice poll vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Additionally, the meeting minutes for November 15th, 2022 were attached to your backup material and emailed to the council for review and consideration prior to the meeting. Can I have a motion to approve the workshop minutes from November 15th, 2022 as presented? Vice Chair Little?
I motion to approve the workshop meeting minutes of November 15th, 2022 as presented.
Can I have a second? Member Fikethaler?
I second that motion.
Vice Chair Little made the motion. Member Fikethaler made the second to approve the workshop meeting minutes from November 15th, 2022 as presented. Any discussion? We will now take a voice poll vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Next on the agenda is item 6, recognitions and achievements. At this time, there are none to report, so we will move on to the next item on the agenda, item 7, advisor presentation. So at this time, I'll turn the floor over to Councilmember Hayden.
You know, we were talking before the meeting, and for those of you that have been the victims of these terrible hoaxes that are occurring at your schools, I'm sorry. Obviously, students were hurt, and it's incredibly unfortunate that this has become part of your lives. But thank you all for your courage, for how you reacted yesterday. Hopefully this will stop, and this will stop being a part of your lives, and you can get on with what you were meant to do, and that's become the best students possible. Council, I wanted to give you kind of an update, because you all don't get to hear what's happening with recovery from the hurricane. The council's updated on it every meeting, including this past Wednesday. So the city right now, and FEMA is covering 100% of the costs as of, I think, the end of last week. And so right now, the bill to the city is approximately $83 million. 55 million of which is for debris removal. We've removed almost 2 million cubic yards of debris during that time. So basically, we got 6 years worth of debris by this one storm. We're also collecting construction debris, which there remains a lot of. The company that we hired to pick up the debris will stay in town for a while. I know some cities have released their crews, but we're not doing that. We know there's a lot more to pick up. You know, there is an interactive map on our website you can go to see when most of you should have already had first pass for at least vegetative debris being picked up, and should be in the process of seeing a second pass at some point. Some neighborhoods haven't seen first pass yet, so we're working with those to get those areas picked up as well. Obviously, this is going to be a long haul for all of us in getting the debris picked up, getting our lives back to somewhat normalcy, including those of you that have suffered damage to your homes. In regards to that, the council recently passed changed an ordinance that basically takes a cumulative impact from 5 years down to 0, meaning that people that may have suffered getting close to 50% damage to their homes will have some relief. They'll be able to start at 0 instead of starting at the cost of what they might have had done to repair their homes in the last 5 years. So it's it was the one thing that municipal governments could do to make sure that residents had a little bit of a break on what they might have suffered during the hurricane. What else? Those were kind of the big things with picking up hurricane debris and what's happening from the storm. Right now, FEMA will pay 100% of all our costs right now, but now that the deadline's passed, we're working with the state to possibly increase their share. It was 70, they would pay 75%, and the rest would be on the cities. We're trying to get that increased to 90%, whereas the cities only pay 10%. I think you'll see some relief there. The Florida legislature is getting ready to head into a special session where I think you'll see them probably adopt some tax breaks or rebates for homeowners that we're in the midst of paying property taxes right now. And they know that for a lot of people, they're paying property taxes on a house that no longer exists. So I think you'll see the legislature offer some breaks, in that area. So it's going to be a long recovery process. This isn't something that's going to be finished in February. Hopefully by the following February, we'll be closer to normal than what we are now. Every home in the city suffered some sort of damage. Obviously, those that lived on the river and suffered at the worst. Those that lived in the north part of the city suffered a lot of damage because of the high winds that were in that area. So, it's a big city. There's a lot to do, but I wanted to make sure you were all kept informed about what's happening too, because it's our city. We all care about it, and we know everybody's stepping up and doing what they can to help us get back to some sort of normalcy. So that's it, Chair. I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you. Is there any discussion or questions about what Councilmember Hayden presented? Thank you. Next up on the agenda is item 8, citizens input. This consists of input of citizens on matters concerning city government. 3 minutes per individual. Council will listen to all speakers and respond after all speakers have made their presentation. I will now read the Pledge of Civility. We will be respectful of each other even when we disagree. We will direct all comments to the issues. We will avoid personal attacks. Citizens' input is now open. Members of the public, please come forward to the podium. Please state your name clearly for the record.
My name is Christian Widdish. Honorable Chair, members of the Youth Council, for some time now, I've assisted you on your communications team and I've been a part of your audience during your meetings and your works. I now, however, stand before you as a citizen of this ever-growing city. I've been a resident and a student of this city all of my life, like some of you, I have, through my time here, developed notable concerns regarding the development of this city in the best interest of its youth. You may think that items such as these are topics meant to be addressed with city council members. However, I firmly believe that through my experience as a student leader, it is the driving voice of youth that defines the circumstances that will influence policymaking and the direction that our city will take in the coming years. Therefore, I bring before you today some directive points that I believe are necessary to be addressed, rather fought for, by you and your abilities to make your voices heard. I have personally identified 2 key issues that I believe, as a developing leader and a mindful citizen, are important to securing the well-being of youth. Firstly, the National Sexual Violence Research Center projected that 1 in 5 women in the United States have experienced sexual violence at some point in their lifetime, and for men, it is 24.8%. More notably, however, 1 in 3 women will experience this violence for the first time between the ages of 11 and 17, and for men, it is 1 in 4. Although an extremely complex and sensitive issue, I wholeheartedly believe that it is the responsibility of not just our government leaders and workers, but of every citizen of every city to actively work to reduce the occurrence of such a heinous act of human conduct and educate and make awareness on this topic for not just our brightest students, but our society as a whole. I would now like to address the issue that affects not only our society, but more specifically our schools. LGBTQIA+ students and their families face more scrutiny now than ever before. I further believe that it is the responsibility of, once again, not only our government workers and leaders, but of every citizen to actively work to provide a safe, accepting, and equitable environment for individuals who identify with this community, and further set the tone for our future political climate, to make it one that does not debate over fundamental rights, but rather debates over issues that can improve the lives of every American, regardless of race, ethnicity, religion, sexual orientation, or other factors that make a person a person. I now leave you to return to my place as an assistant to your communications department, but I leave you with one message. It is not those who gas at the TV who make history, nor those who stand idle when we are forced to confront the worst of our problems, but it is those who, despite scrutiny, stand for what they truly believe and work toward equitable solutions that make it on the right side of history. Thank you, and I yield my time to the Honorable Chair.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public wishing to speak? Seeing none, citizens' input is now closed. Any discussion from the council regarding the input giving? Member Rodriguez?
I believe that a lot of good points were brought up, and I think we should definitely take what he said seriously and basically just, we should listen to him and consider having those as like agenda topics.
Definitely. Vice Chair Little?
I agree with that. I think those are like really, really important topics. I do think those, I don't want to say they're vague, because they're just subjects. And of course, with those subjects, we have to decide which way we want to go with them. Like, for example, if we want more advocacy or we want raising money towards those, we need to consider that as we move forward.
Member Arvelo?
I also agree with Little. I was thinking like he did bring up like reduction of like SA and LGBTQ crimes, but also he did bring up like educating other people in our schools, and I think that that's something that we could do since we are students of our school. So that is definitely something we could do in the future.
Definitely. Any other member discussion? Vice Chair Little?
I have some. There was the Don't Say Gay bill that was published a while ago by Ron DeSantis. I'm not sure how much we can do in schools. I'm saying this as an LGBTQ person. I don't know what we can do.
Definitely, I think that as members of society and the the growing youth population, I think that there are certain topics, and we're always more concerned about the topics that are provocative and maybe sensitive to people in the population. But those are the topics that I feel like we need to advocate the most for, so that we protect different people in our society from maybe, being hurt from others. So I think that we definitely need to be respectful of, the systems in place and make sure that we aren't breaking any rules as leaders and people in our community that are setting standards for others. But also, I believe that these are important topics, and I think Christian brought up some good points that maybe we can do some things to raise awareness within our communities.
So Chair, the previous speaker would like to comment now. Technically, according to Robert's rules, he's already spoken, so you don't have to let him speak again. But because he's your only speaker today, that it'd probably be good to get, if you're all finished. And
Definitely.
I appreciate your input, all your input on this.
Christian, if you want to go up to the podium.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Firstly, I would like to speak to you now as, an assistant of your communications department, and I would like to say that, although I'm the only speaker, I wholeheartedly believe that every voice up on, the dais in front of me, and I wish there was more voices behind me, but for every voice of every youth in not only our city, but in our state and our nation, it is important that we, not to say that, we should directly specify on an issue, but we should encourage the voices of youth to be expressed actively in every outlet that we can provide. And that means something as simple as going and speaking in public comment like I just did, or going to a school board meeting and, speaking public comment, or going as far as to organize, some type of advocacy event. It is all not only important, but I believe vital to not only increase our advocacy skills as student leaders, but to give everyone a voice, regardless of race, ethnicity, color, any of the characteristics that once again make a person a person. It is our responsibility as youth leaders, and it is our responsibility as people and as citizens that we actively pursue this. So I say, Member Little brought up about which, they were very, I call them domain issues, because there's many issues that flow under the issues that I mentioned in my public comment section, but I believe wholeheartedly that even the slightest crack at advocating, for these issues will provide that awareness, will provide the attention that these issues deserve. And I believe if, the council works to pursue those, that would not only show greatly on your part, but it would show that you're interested in the minds and in the voices of the youth that you represent. So I yield my time to the chair. Thank you.
Thank you. I definitely agree, and I think it's important to remember that, we're not just youth council members when we're up here on the dais, we're also youth council members in everything that we do, and when we go back to our schools, and when we see someone in the hallway that we think might need help, or that we think, could use just a helping hand or a kind smile, that's when we're youth council members, even more so than we're up here. So I think that any way that we can advocate for others, especially others that might feel oppressed or marginalized in any way, I think that that's very important. So when we go back into our classrooms and when we go back into, it doesn't just have to be school. I know that we're here because we were all selected from different schools, and that's a common point for all of us. But when we go back into our clubs and activities and other things, we can also, just advocate and be outspoken and share our point of views about the things that we are passionate about and about others. Definitely. Is there any other discussion on this topic? Or any questions for Christian? Thank you. All right. The next item is item 9, recommendations to council. As discussed at the last meeting, the previously considered quarterly report dates of December 4th and December 7th are no longer applicable to our timeline, and the council will move the next quarterly report to January. The date has not been decided upon yet due to pending information. Advisors, liaison, and staff, is there any information that you have regarding upcoming council meeting dates and availability?
What are the council dates in January? Do you want to try and do it in January?
That was what we had discussed at the previous meeting. We can shift it if it's too soon or if it's wouldn't work for people, but that's just what we discussed at the previous meeting.
Check the dates. So the agenda for the 25th will be posted on roughly the 19th. You want to shoot for
25th?
representatives speaking at the 25th?
I think that sounds perfect. All right, so please check your calendars and make sure that's okay. Do we have a motion to adopt the proposed date of January 25th, 2023 as the upcoming council report date? Vice Chair Little?
I motion to adopt January 23rd, 2023 as our date for that.
Can I have a second? Member Avila?
I second that motion.
Vice Chair Little made the motion, Member Arvelo made the second to adopt the proposed date for our upcoming council reports. Any discussion? Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Anchetta,
Aye.
Arabello,
Aye.
Bella,
Aye.
Bernal,
Aye.
Fikethaler,
Aye.
Negron,
Aye.
Rodriguez. 8 ayes, motion carried.
Thank you. So now that we have a report date, we can begin the preparation for the report. I know that not everyone's here, so it might be hard. I know in the past, Member Osinski has been very helpful in the creation of the slides. But I believe that, was it Member Bella that did it this past time? Or Member Arlavelo? I know we've done many reports, so. But is there anyone who would like to volunteer to start working on the slides for this coming report? Vice Chair Little? Thank you. And if anyone has any pictures or information that they would like to be highlighted within the slides, please share them with Vice Chair Little. And that way we can utilize all that information in the slideshow. Our next meeting, let me look at the dates. Our next meeting is January 13th, I believe. And so we should have all of this information probably in by then so that we can submit, or that we can review this for submission or for use at the meeting. So if we could possibly get all of our information, like our pictures and everything, to Member Little prior to that so that she can get it in prior to that January 13th date. I'm going to say maybe a couple days for Administrative Contact Grigland and Ms. Dixon to have the backup materials. So if you can have that by probably January 10th, and then everyone submit information to Vice Chair Little, probably what would be the best time for you to compile it?
Probably by January 4th, 5th, like at least give me a few days. That way if it's important, I can add it in right before.
All right, so I'm going to say January 4th for the deadline to get all your information to Vice Chair Little, and then Vice Chair Little will submit that by January 10th. All right, sounds good. All right. Any other discussion regarding the council report? Yes.
We said Ozinski was the one to previously do it. Could she send me like a report of that? I know she's not here, but if someone has contact with her.
I know, yeah, we have slides. I also have copies of the slides. I can share something with you. And I will send you the list of the topics that we used in the prior slides and everything. So I can send you that information. Or Member Avila?
Miss Grigland, email Miss Grigland and she'll give you the slides because Ozinski, like I emailed her and she, I guess, didn't get it. So if you email Miss Grigland, she'll send you those slides. And I can also send you the ones that I did the last time if you want.
Thank you. All right. Next is business item 10A, approval of the 2023 meeting schedule. Attached to your backup materials, were provided with a list of proposed meeting dates for the 2023 year. The meetings will be the second Friday of every month except for November. Do I have a motion to adopt the 2023 Youth Council meeting schedule as presented? Vice Chair Little?
I motion to adopt the 2023 meeting schedule as presented.
Do I have a second? Member Anchetta?
I second that motion.
Vice Chair Little made the motion, Member Anchetta made the second to adopt the 2023 Youth Council meeting schedule as presented. Any discussion?
Chair, just, there's one big change on this schedule that's never happened before. If you notice, it's one meeting a month. Okay. When we talked about this last year, and remember, at least as seniors, we went through that period where nobody was coming to the meetings, and we had trouble getting quorum. We thought maybe because of your challenging school schedules, that this was really the only committee that met twice a month, that it wasn't fair to ask you to give up that much time because of everything that you do. We still consider this committee incredibly important, but we thought it would be better in terms of being more productive and having full attendance that we go to one meeting a month. Now, obviously for you seniors, that means you only have 5 meetings left when you think about it. So, as you will probably approve this schedule, these meetings, because they're just once a month, every single time have to mean something. We have to get stuff done because our time changes now, and they have to be productive. So think about that as we move forward with the schedule. I believe it's the right thing to do to go to once a month. Before you vote, I'd like to hear some feedback on that. If you agree, don't agree, if you think this works better. I just like to know.
Is there any discussion? Vice Chair Little?
I feel like we'll get less done if I'm being honest, because it already takes so much time in between. If someone doesn't come, I don't feel like they'll exactly come again. I mean, maybe it will increase how many people come to each meeting, but to the extent that that is valuable, if we can't get things done in the middle, do you get what I'm saying? Like,
So you'd rather have 2 meetings?
yeah, I'd rather have 2 meetings, but
Member Rodriguez?
The way that I see it is that a lot of the main busy work that goes to completing the actions that we do is mostly done outside of the youth council. Like the actual projects are done outside of these meetings. All the cleanups happen outside of these meetings. All the stuff that we plan here happens outside of these meetings. So I don't think having less meetings will affect how hard we work. But instead, what will happen is with these singular meetings, I do think that probably more people will show up because it makes the meeting more significant. And I still think that we can get what we get done here at these meetings within 2 weeks, within the 1 week. Even though it's still half the meetings, I still think we can still get it done, because what we do here isn't we don't build things here. We plan here. And I feel like the planning part that we do here, and the organization and the administration kind of stuff that we do, is something that doesn't need to be you have to be constantly working on it. It can be something that can be done more once a month. And I feel like that would be a lot easier for some people who have a lot of commitments and stuff.
Member Angetta?
My one thing with I actually wish we had 2 meetings a month, but also I'm kind of in the middle, because with 1 meeting a month, I can actually go have time to go to the people I need to contact and have that week to contact them, 3 weeks, and not just 1 week, and then I have to get all that information sent to Ms. Griglin that Monday. It gives me enough time to actually go out and do multiple things. But also I do think that seeing each other twice a month is way better. So if we have one meeting a month, they definitely need to be longer. I feel like that's just what needs to happen. And we do need to maybe see each other at least throughout the month. But I think, I don't know, I'm kind of on the 1 month thing, 1 meeting a month.
Member Feithaler?
I think that we should move to 1 meeting per month, because a lot of us have very busy schedules, so we have to pick and choose between what we attend and what we don't. And I feel like having 1 meeting a month would make more priority of attending meetings, because they'll be more significant, like Member Rodriguez said.
Thank you. Member Bella?
I also agree with the 1 meeting a month, but I think what our issue kind of was in the past is that as we're supposed to be planning and stuff for these meetings, I feel like if we want to do the service projects, we have to do that in between. And I want to make that a more constant thing that we do, instead of just kind of, because at the time that I've been on the council, we did the special populations. We couldn't do with veterans, obviously, because of the hurricane, but I feel like we haven't done that many projects. And I know we've had obstacles, but next year, I want to definitely kind of start doing more of those and less every 2 weeks meetings. So,
Definitely.
yeah.
Member Negron?
So I kind of going back to what Member Aravalo said, I am kind of in between, because yeah, we will get more people because it's only once a month, but if we do only meet once a month, they need to be longer so we can still get things done, because yes, we can do what Member Rodriguez said and we already do most of it outside of the meetings, but we still like need to touch base because not everyone is always in contact. And some of us need more reminders than that.
I feel like a very common theme of any successful committee or group or council is strong communication base, and I feel like it's very difficult for us to maintain that. Sometimes it's easier for a group at our school or at another event or even just any other organization because you can maintain some other form of communication or other platform. I know Outlook can sometimes be very difficult, so emails don't go through or some things get crazy. So I know that is sometimes a barrier, but we don't always see each other. You know, if we miss one meeting a month, if we miss one meeting and when we go down to one meeting a month, then we don't see each other, you know, and because we don't go to the same schools. So I feel like that might be a barrier to us. Yes, Vice Chair Little.
I find it a bit ironic at the FLC conference, we're like, oh, we don't really talk a lot. We don't really see each other often enough. We don't really feel comfortable. And now we're moving down to one a month. I do think, at least I like what Member Negron said with like touching base a bit more. I think we should do that at least. Or maybe like a texting, oh, did you remember to do this soon? The deadline's this to turn into Griglin, so our meeting's here. Something like that at least.
Member Rodriguez?
To kind of like cover like some of the things that have been said, specifically when it's like when you're like talking about like how like we don't know each other that well because we don't meet all that often, and how once a month is going to make it even less. I feel like what we have now, the still like 2 a weeks. I feel like if you're only going off these 2 a week things, you're still not going to make the same connections that like you guys are wanting. So I still feel like that if you change it, it's not going to affect the thing that you're trying to get if you're trying to go for connections. And what in that situation, if you want to like be friendlier with the council or like be better friends with the council, the real solution there is you have to like be more proactive and like reach out and be like, hey, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? If you want to be friendly, or if you want to have like a lot of more of a friendly relationship with others on the council, the best way to do it is to just be friendly, reach out, and hopefully you can be better friends with them through like texting them or anything like that. As long as you like, of course, like don't text about like things that are covered by sunshine laws. Of course, there's boundaries that need to be followed, but still, like I feel like if you guys want more connection, and like even if we go to 2 week, I still want like the like council to know, like if you want that connection, like just having it like twice or once every 2 weeks is still not going to do that, and you still need to reach out if you want that better relationship.
Okay, let's look at this a different way. You have the ability, if you feel like, let's say, you're working on the strategic plan and once a month just isn't cutting it, or you're getting close to the gal and you feel like you need to meet again. The motion maker might want to consider an amendment that allows you the option of having a special meeting when it's needed, okay? Then you're free to call that meeting. It'll be advertised appropriately as long as there's enough advance time to set the date. You can do that, and you hit on a key point. As things stand right now, you can't get together outside of this chamber because you will violate sunshine laws, which brings me back to a discussion that I had at the Orlando meeting. You are the only youth council in the state that is an advisory council that must follow sunshine. I'm in the process of changing that so that you won't be an advisor. You'll still be able to make recommendations to city council, have your meetings, have discussions, but if I just make you a committee, a student committee, then you're free to get together, meet, have discussions. You don't have to follow sunshine. So you're bound by sunshine right now, which restricts you from getting together at any other place except these chambers. So I don't know if I'll be able to get that changed quickly, but I plan on bringing the ordinance forward in the next couple months to have that changed, because it's not fair to you. You can't text each other. Your phones are at risk of being, if someone wants to file a complaint for whatever reason that you all have been getting together and deciding things outside of this public meeting, then your phones could be confiscated. Information could be taken from them. That certainly isn't fair to you as students because you do interact with each other if you go to the same school, and you might talk about different things. So, but in the meantime, until that's changed, you have the ability to have a special meeting in between those regular meetings if the motion maker and the second is willing to amend their motion to include the option of a special meeting when needed. Okay? You can do that. And I appreciate the discussion, and I appreciate the fact that some of you want to meet twice a month. So to me, that's the best compromise is, you know, for your ability to do that while I work on this other thing. Okay. I don't know, I can't remember who made the motion, who made the second, but,
We had a motion by Vice Chair Little and a second by Member Anchetta.
so if you're willing to, it has to come from you.
So if you want to amend your motion to adopt the 2023 Youth Council meeting schedule to include an optional special meeting with the presented dates.
When needed.
I amend my motion to include the approval of our 2023 meeting schedule with the special meeting dates that could be included if needed.
And then our second, Member Anchetta, do you approve that as well?
I second that motion.
Any discussion? Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Anchetta,
Aye.
Aravello,
Aye.
Bella,
Aye.
Bernal,
Aye.
Spike Thaler,
Aye.
Little,
Aye.
Negron,
Aye.
Rodriguez,
Aye.
8. Approved, motion carried.
Thank you. Moving on, we have business item 10B, 2022 FLC Youth Council Video Competition Continued Discussion. So the December 16th deadline is quickly approaching for a video submission to the Florida League of Cities Youth Council Video Competition. I don't know if you guys remember the big trophy that we got last year. So we definitely want to try to win that again. But at our last meeting, all members were requested to submit personal statements and photos from their experience with the hurricane. It was originally intended to include videos from the council on the dais and in council chambers, though we were unable to find a time to complete the recording of this content. Member Bella, can you provide the council with an update on the status of the video?
So the video is completed and uploaded to YouTube now, as of like 2 days ago. So, yeah, I did get, I want to say like half of the members sent in some stuff, which was, so thank you for that. It was pretty helpful. I did get a lot of video from Cape TV, and just kind of, I watched a lot of the videos that were shown before, like for our previous youth council videos. I'm a little iffy on the results of it, but I think the communications has it. If they want to show the video so we can give some input, I can change anything before December 16th. So,
Awesome, thank you so much.
Council ready?
Yes, please. Oh, that's cool. I think it popped up for a second there.
Yeah, it was there for a second, but now it's back to live.
First part looks like the council.
Yeah, I was so confused.
The only reason I could
Okay.
tell it was different was the shirt.
Play from the beginning.
Yeah, I was.
Okay.
It's showing.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The council ready?
Yes, please, thank you. experience unlike any other, and I will never forget the devastation that I witnessed that day. Once the sun went down, communities were enveloped with darkness, and it was easy to feel isolated and alone.
Most of these plans were canceled because of the hurricane. Fortunately enough, we were actually able to go to one of the events that we planned to go to, and this was our city special populations Halloween party.
We also recently did a workshop at our city chambers, inviting all students from different schools to attend our meetings and give input on the city. We work directly alongside our city's leaders and will continue to grow with the development of our city and participate wherever we can. Our goal is to get more of the youth in Cape Coral involved in government and implement change, and to create a strategic plan for the future of our youth council.
Young residents of Cape Coral can participate in youth council happenings by attending meetings physically or virtually, or by looking at any of our various social media outlets.
My family used candles to light our way in the night. Like the candle shining light in the darkness, our hope and sense of community allowed us to band together in times of great need. That was so good.
I spelled changed wrong.
She spelled changed wrong. It's
And
so
then-
funny.
When it said there was like a light in the dark, I said like a hope in the dark instead. Like it works, but it's
The
okay.
change needs to be changed.
I think that was really, really good. I'm so happy that you did that for us. Thank you so, so much. Yes, Member Rodriguez.
I would like to say that this video was edited a lot better than the last video. I would know. I was the one who edited the last video. But yeah, I will say that with like how this video was put together, it was really well put together, and it looked like there was like it was like an actual video, and it wasn't like very like ragtaggily made. And it looks really good. Is what I'm trying to say. Is that it looks good and it looks professional.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you so much. Is there any other discussion regarding the video? Yes.
So for the part of the requirements, I know that there has to be like a 150-word description of the video. I don't know how I'm supposed to submit that though.
I believe that Member Osinski was writing that. So you were working on the video and like the storyboard part of that, and Member Osinski
Okay.
was responsible for the write-up.
So she's doing like she did
She's
with the
doing that,
last one.
yes. And so she should have that submitted to Administrative Contact Kirkland.
Okay. I just want to make sure. Thank you.
It's, no, go ahead.
Member Feichtner.
I thought the video was very excellent and well edited, and I don't think anything should be changed besides some subtitles, but for the most part, excellent video.
Yeah. Outside of that, yeah, Vice Chair Little?
Maybe it's a me thing. I didn't notice the spelling mistakes, so I think you're good. Like, I was reading the captions, I promise, but I didn't catch them, so I think, it's not a huge pressure if you also can't, you know.
Thank you. So outside of that, was there anything that we wanted her to change prior to submission? No? I think that looked amazing. So that makes me really excited and ready for this FLC conference.
You all did an outstanding job. It's great. One thing I would do, those screens where you have a lot of type, they went by pretty quick. Give people a chance to read them. Okay, that's the only thing I couldn't get through. So if you had any misspellings, I wouldn't know because they went by really fast. But
Okay.
just add some time to those so people can read them.
Okay, that's easy to
Because the
do.
words are powerful, and I don't want them to get missed. So look at those slides where you have that, and just don't add some time to them so that people have the opportunity to read them.
Okay.
You guys are amazing. It's great. It really is.
I was just going to say the same thing, just with those, because I couldn't read them. definitely slow them down. And then at the beginning with the hurricane photos, can you slow those down? Just so they can see a little bit of like full scene of what it was. But great job, like that was a really good presentation.
I kind of wanted to add one thing. I felt like it kind of ended really like abruptly. Would you be able to like kind of slow it down at the end a little bit to like digest it? Because it kind of just like hit. I had to.
Do you mean fade like the sound part or like the videos? The whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay, I try to do that. I'll do it more though.
My family used candles to light our way in the night.
Whenever yeah, there we go. Where, right here is good? So to play from there? Or, okay.
Like the candle shining light in the darkness, our hope and sense of community allowed us to band together in times of great need.
Maybe I can just make like the text longer and then like just make the whole video longer because there was more to the blowing bubbles scene that could be extended. We did do that for a good minute, so. How long was it? How long was the video? It's like 2 minutes. It's 2 minutes exactly, so that's why I think I cut it short.
Was there a time limit on
5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
So you can probably just slow it down, especially the front of it, and then the end of it, and you'll probably.
Have another, you got minutes or add another minute.
Okay, yeah.
You got 5 minutes.
Member Feichthaler?
You could split up the text into more easy to read chunks, so it's like 4 groups of text instead of just the 2, because it was a little bit hard to read. I had to speed read to see all of it.
Amazing. So we really appreciate that video. It looked amazing. Yeah, I really appreciate that. So, but just in my notes, I have like just the fade, the captions, and like the elongated slides were all that we like discussed. But I think that was amazing presentation. Thank you so much. Any other discussion before we move on to the next agenda item? All right, moving along, we have item 10C, Spring Gala continued discussion. Previously, council members voted to adopt the Lake Kennedy Center as the venue for the 2023 Spring Gala. Member Osinski is not here, so hopefully at the next meeting we can talk about that. Additionally, Member Bella agreed to contact a photo booth and DJ to receive an estimate for the service of working the gala. Do you have anything to share with the council?
I was talking to Miss Gergelin after the meeting, and we did decide just to use the same DJ and stuff, but I have not yet reached out to them. I will do that. But.
Thank you. Member Arvelo agreed to contact local vendors for catering estimates and the Lake Kennedy Center staff regarding wall decorations. Do you have any prices or information to share with us?
I have a little bit of information. I did contact Two Meatballs in a Kitchen again, and I talked to their caterer, the director of their caterer, and she said that the price is just flat out $50 per person, but we will get a discount since we are city organizations. It would be $30 per person. And that includes 4 entrees, appetizers, rolls, and salad. I got into contact to a couple like just normal caterers, and they have not like emailed or called me back, but I did leave messages, and I'm hoping to get some stuff back. But if I go to my Gmail, I think one did while I was in the car. So let me see. Oh, also, Two Meatballs in the Kitchen, I'm not biased, but they were like really happy to talk to me. Like they already emailed me and they were like, sounds great, we can do March 11th, like that's great, we can do it. And I was like, okay, that sounds great with me. But And then another place, Heather Decker's Custom Catering. They were ecstatic to have us if we wanted to be with them, but they emailed me, I emailed them, and then they emailed me back saying, they said, "Hi Olivia, we just did an event to raise money for backpacks," because I told them that it is a fundraiser for Blessings in the Backpack, and they had just did one last night, and they are going to Bentley's dealership tomorrow to also do a fundraising event. So I guess they have a lot of experience with it, and they did ask me the number of people we will have there, if we would need tables from them because they will provide them, and then what type of food. And we did not discuss that, so I did say maybe Italian, because we did that last year, but if we want to change it, we can, and I can email them back and say a different thing. But I did email them and say thank you for responding. I said 100 to 150 participants because that's what Ms. Griglin said, and that's it.
Definitely. Thank you so much. I like the idea of what you have presented. Do you happen to have from your second vendor, I forget the name of what they were calling?
I can say it
I know
again.
two meatballs in a kitchen, you said $30 per person. Do we happen to know like a
No,
comparison
I
value?
did. That was in my message to them again. I asked, after I said Italian and said like appetizer, like just because that was after two meatballs in the kitchen, so I kind of had an idea of what they were going to give us. So I asked them the same thing and then estimate, and they haven't emailed me back. So if they do email me back, I will send it to Ms. Griglin and try to get it to you guys before the next meeting. Also, I know I'm talking about the restaurants and catering, but about Lake Kennedy, I did talk to Jody, and she said that we can go anytime during February for a tour to go see it. So we can pick a date, and I can tell her about that. And then I will bring sticky tack for the wall decorations, because I know that I said the last time they're not going to let us do any wall decorations with tape, but if I bring sticky tack and we figure it out, then we can do it. So that is all I have.
Great, thank you. I definitely think that when it comes to our spring gala and other projects that we're working on, I think that the less expensive it is, the better, because it's going to be very difficult to fundraise, especially right now after the hurricane and everything that's happened. People don't have just excess money, honestly, to be donating. I know probably all of your activities and everything are trying to fundraise right now, but it's very difficult to do that. So I would say that if we get the response back and it's above $30 per person, that maybe we would go with the two meatballs in the kitchen. But until we have more information, we can wait, and more people are here, we can wait on voting on that, I would advise, if that's okay with everyone on the council. But I really appreciate the information that you were able to get us, Member Arvelo. All council members were requested to go into the community and find sponsorships for the gala. Do any members have any sponsorships to report? No? Okay. I just wanted to take time to remind you that it's important that we do that. I know I have to talk to Ms. Griglin. I think I have something in the works, but I need to figure out how the paperwork and everything happens. But it's really important that maybe we can take the weekend and find some local vendors, or I know not really community members or people might be the best people to ask, but vendors, businesses, that kind of thing would be great people to ask as far as sponsorships.
Who were our sponsors last year?
I know
LCEC was, right?
His business
Yeah.
was, and then LCEC.
BGM,
Yeah.
his business, LCEC.
I'm not sure that we got.
The Gunterberg Foundation, were they a sponsor or not?
I'm not sure. I know we had LCEC and Mr. Mazurkowicz's foundation.
Well,
but
somebody
I
should
would
at
have
least
to look
right
that
now
up.
be reaching out to LCEC and Joe, Mr. Mazurkowicz, to see if they're willing to do it. Those should be the easy ones. What's the date of the gala again?
The date of the March 11th, the spring gala, March 11th.
Okay. Remember your meeting schedule.
Yes, we don't have a lot of time. We only have 2 meetings before, well, we have 3 meetings, but that's March 10th.
Well, you pretty much have one meeting to decide all this unless you call a special meeting. I probably wouldn't wait too much longer on finding out about this other caterer, because you need to make that decision, because these places are gonna start getting booked up.
Like a lot of like the caterers, they like called me back throughout like the past couple days, and they were like, yeah, we already have them on March 11th. That was one of the real reasons why they didn't answer my thing, because they don't have it. So we could go with, like, I'm not gonna speed it up, but if we want to vote now, Two Meatballs in a Kitchen already emailed me and they want to do it. So
I think that Two Meatballs, I just know from experience from last year and the people who were on the council last year, we had a very difficult time. I know we contacted like Bubba's and we reached out to a number of different places, and it became very expensive, and those things were adding on. And I know Two Meatballs in a Kitchen was not as much of an expense to us, and I think that they did a great job. I think that it was a great option for your meal, because they had like salads and they had something for everybody. So I think that it would be a reasonable option, and it's not just me being a penny pincher.
the other caterers are about $100 per person. So
Oh, yeah,
and that's
then I
not,
say we vote.
yeah, just saying, like.
Somebody should make a motion.
So
At this time, do we have a motion? Member Rodriguez?
Am I able to motion that we just go with 2 meatballs?
Yes.
All right. I motion that we go with 2 meatballs in the kitchen for our caterer.
Do I have a second? Vice Chair Little?
I second that motion.
Member Rodriguez made the motion, Vice Chair Little made the second to adopt Two Meatballs as our caterer for this year. We will now take a voice poll vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, guys. We now have a caterer. But now we just have to do all of the steps as to, fulfilling that role and continuing on with that. And that means, finding the sponsorships and that kind of thing. So that was a great point that Councilmember Hayden made, was that we should be reaching out to LCEC and Advisor Mazurkowitz because they were substantial sponsors from last year. So does anyone want to write an email and make a message out to LCEC and Advisor Mazurkowitz? We can split it up if someone wants to do LCEC. Member Bella?
I have no problem with doing it. I just, as far as asking for a sponsorship, I wouldn't know how to do that. So I don't know if I'm the best person to do it, but I can.
Well, just some tips. Find out how much they gave last year, and just call them and say, it'll probably be Karen Ryan at LCEC. Miss Ryan, you donated very generously to the Cape Coral Youth Council last year. Whatever the amount is, would you be willing to do that again? We'd really appreciate your donation. And then same, Mr. Mazurkowitz, so that'll be a little easier.
You said Ryan, what was their name?
Karen Ryan.
Karen Ryan.
She's their communications director.
And if you need any of the contacts, Ms. Griglin, you can email Ms. Griglin and she'll be able to set you up with all of that information.
Yeah, that's really, for those, the easy calls are the ones that were sponsors in the past, because they'll usually do it again. And just let her know the Blessings in the Backpack is the beneficiary.
Great, thank you. Is there any other discussion about the Spring Gala? I would like to maybe, as you guys go home, as we all go home, and just let this kind of settle in our minds, can we maybe come to the next meeting with ideas as far as decorations? Because now that we have some sort of functional parts of the Spring Gala down, we have plans for a DJ and catering and that kind of thing, I would like to make it beautiful now. Yes, Member Digron.
Just a reminder, what was the theme colors?
So we had theme Tale as Old as Time, and we had regal. So we had the deep red, not this, darker, and the blue and gold was our theme colors. So I don't know. I don't know if I don't have a color to show you. But almost like a royal red, deep blue, navy, and not navy, but Do you know what I'm talking about, Member Rodriguez? Yeah.
On the outlet thing? Like not where the light is, but where the dark part is?
I'd say, maybe. Like the darker. I feel like we're using the kind of crazy samples to explain. My pen is dark red. Yes. Yes. This color red. But yes, if you guys would like to go home and maybe compile some pictures of some ideas of what you would like to bring back to the council and then submit that to administrative contact Griglin prior to our meeting so that we could have that in the backup materials and we could review that as a council about some things that we can maybe create or even if we want to try to fundraise and buy something small online. I mean, we don't have unlimited funds, but if it's something small. But yes, I'd love to see just kind of how we want to put things together. But as well as, you know, if you guys want to just look up like palette options or how you want to do that. Okay, yes.
Do we have ideas of what we already have? Like, do we have like paper, balloons? Like, what are we already working with?
I believe that we're pretty much, I mean, starting from, I'm not sure what Lilly Kennedy Center already has, but I mean, we have tables and things, right? And as far as decorations, I believe we're starting from scratch.
Yeah, we're pretty much starting from scratch. Mom, do they have, you can talk about it.
So they do have tablecloths, which you guys can all use, the black ones, formal table coverings. So we do have that. I'm sure there's other things. Right now, FEMA's in the building, so I can see all of the event stuff. I just can't see the ballroom. That's why you guys can't go until February, as long as FEMA moves their way out. Let's hope. But I can compile a list, get it to Olivia of what we do have, what we can be donated, and meet with the youth center also, because I know they have a lot of stuff. And then come back to the next meeting with that.
Definitely.
I'm sure we can find some stuff with those colors.
And as far as limitations, I know for any formal student government event or gathering, we always have to, you know, be aware of certain things. Like we aren't allowed to use latex balloons because of allergies, that kind of thing. Are we as a council bound to those kinds of limitations? Can we have balloons? Can we have those kinds of things due to allergies? Or should we try to stray away from that?
I don't see a problem with it.
I don't know if, I know for prom, we specifically, we kind of took a stance away from that because we wanted it to be maybe a little bit more elegant because balloons maybe aren't as upscale as the theme might suggest. So if we want to do something like that, we can. But if you're interested in that, that's just something that you might want to keep in mind, or like other limitations as a council that we might have as far as allergies. Yes, Member Rodriguez.
I was just gonna say that when it comes to like allergies and stuff, I feel like unless if it's something that like the guests are gonna be like right near or touching, especially with balloons, the main issue with that is latex. And like, I know I got family with like latex allergies and stuff, but there's like latex alternatives too. I'm not sure for balloons, but I know for other latex items, like specifically gloves, there's a lot of non-latex alternatives. And I feel like as long as we're the only ones touching it and we all know what we're allergic to and we have ways, or if we have ways to be safe around it, then it should be okay. Unless if it's something that like, it's like an interactive thing, but I doubt that balloons are gonna be something that like the guests are gonna be out like and like using and stuff, yeah. And like the only other thing is like, if it pops, it's gonna make a loud noise. And like, it's just, that's the only other issue is that balloons popping make loud noise.
And balloons are a cheaper way to decorate. Like balloon arches, I mean, it's pennies on the dollar.
So I would just suggest that we can go back home and maybe go on Pinterest, look up some things as to decorations that we would like. Keep in mind as far as what Member Arvelo said about the sticky tacks and not putting anything permanently into the walls or anything semi-permanently into the walls, anything into the walls, because we want to be respectful of the space, right? Great. Is there any other discussion about Spring Gala? All right, moving on, we have item 10D, Senior Project Continued Discussion. As discussed at recent meetings, Ms. Gerhard from the Cape Coral Art Center was eager to provide the council with the opportunity to serve as a bridge between our school and student populations at the Art Center. The upcoming days at the Cape Coral Art Center are December 9th today from 5 to 7 p.m. and January 13th, 2023 from 5 to 7 p.m. Do any council members have contacts of students that are interested in performing at the Art Center on the previously stated dates? Member Rodriguez?
Could you say those dates again?
So we have today, December 9th from 5 to 7 p.m. And we have January 13th, 2023 from 5 to 7 p.m.
Okay, thank you.
So I did note in here from Member Polanco because they mentioned at a previous meeting, but Member Polanco isn't here, so we'll table that. But I think that this is really important. I know that there aren't a lot of seniors here, or aren't a lot of, as many seniors as usual, so it's difficult to kind of work on the planning of this, but I feel like we've just really dropped the ball, and we've tried to pick up the ball and run with it a little bit, and it just keeps fumbling. So I definitely want to try to do as much as possible to at least, finish out this project as much as possible. So if there's anyone that you know that might be interested in performing, I know today is kind of crazy to request, but January 13th is the final date that she requested to have someone come play at the Arts Center during the gallery. And I think that if there's any way that, if you have a name, if you have a contact, you can even just give me their information, and I'll serve as a bridge between Ms. Gerhard and them and try to communicate with them. But, if there's anyone that you know that's interested in that date, it would be great if you could communicate that to me. Yes?
Sorry, Chair. Just a side note with that, Ms. Gerhard has stepped down due to impending baby coming and stepping away to be with her family for several years. So she is taking a hiatus. You might want to reach out to Sam, which was her senior rec. I think she's acting at the moment until they find a replacement for Ms. Gerhard. So.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Member Rodriguez.
I had my question answered.
You have a what? I have my question answered. Oh, okay. Thank you. So is there any other member discussion on the senior project? Okay. Next is item 10E, junior project continued discussion. At the previous meeting, the Youth Council discussed Supervisor Creed's approval of the project, and Member Arvelo agreed to reach out to the Parks and Recreation Department regarding curbing of the garden. Member Arvelo, have you received a response regarding this?
No, but Superintendent Creed has decided to put in his 2 weeks notice, so.
Today was his last day. That was going to be my next announcement.
Yeah, so he did I counted 10 days before the hurricane hit. I did have an email, and he did say, I can't remember his name, but there's a supervisor he put me through before he decided to put his 2 weeks notice in, so I did email him this week. So I just showed him the email that I did before the hurricane, and I said, well, I know a hurricane hit, blah, blah, blah. Can we still try and push this through, even though Superintendent Creed has stepped down? So I kind of don't have anything else other than that right now.
Thank you. Moving on, all council members were encouraged to inquire in their extracurricular activities and groups to see if they would be interested in being involved. I spoke to the membership of my school's student government, and they're eager to help and participate in the project. Would any other members like to report any interested groups at this time? As far as like the rock painting and any clubs or activities? Okay. So as we move forward with this project, are there any, or I should say, please go back to your schools and see if, yes, Rodriguez.
Never mind, I misunderstood what you were going to say. I was going to just ask, like, if we find some in the future, should we send them? I was just going to ask questions about those.
I would say that you can bring any names of organizations back to the next meeting. I don't know if you need to submit them to Administrative Contact Grigland. I don't think we have a registry, but as far as documentation is concerned, maybe closer to the execution of the event and of the rock painting, if there's some form of like exchange going on with the rocks. I'm not sure how we want to do that as far as execution for the different activities yet, if we're going to have a lot of different clubs going together. But if you just have someone that you'd like to report, I would say just bring it back to the club, bring it back to the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Is there any other? Yes, Member Bella?
Sorry, I need a reminder on the junior project for the materials, do we know if, what our plan was for getting materials for that? Can you
It
remind me?
was Home Depot, Lowe's. We were trying to do that, but obviously I don't like putting the excuse that the hurricane messed everything up, but it really did. So I just I'm waiting for that email for him to give, for if we're having approval to actually keep going with the project. Like, we don't really know if we can even do the project anymore because we don't have it implemented. So like we can go through with different junior projects. Maybe right now we can come up with some ideas, or next meeting we can come up with some ideas. But by the next meeting, we'll have an email and emails back and forth of what, if we will actually be able to do this project.
Any other questions or discussion? Next, we have item 10F, Lovelocks Project Continued Discussion. Simply to review for this project, we have selected Cultural Park as the location for the Lovelocks project. Additionally, Advisor Mazurkowitz offered to provide the location of the project to the engineer to set up a site plan and acquire documentation. Most prominently, the council agreed at the last meeting that fundraising was the most substantial hurdle to be overcome in the process of completing this project. At our last meeting, Christian Woodish was tasked with finding more information for the setup of the GoFundMe account. Do you have any updates for the council at this time?
Thank you, Chair. I was coordinating with Advisor Griglin prior to the meeting, and she had deemed that GoFundMe, after her review of my outline and of the site itself, that GoFundMe was more applicable for individuals rather than government entities, and that it would be too out of our reach to proceed with GoFundMe. So at this time, Advisor Griglin has pointed that GoFundMe would not be a viable option for our means.
Thank you. Okay, so as we move forward, this will kind of shift how we approach the fundraising as we go forward. So we're just going to have to think of some more ideas and brainstorm. So I would suggest that we continue working on scholarships. I know Member Arvelo at the last meeting, you volunteered to research grants, scholarships, and other funding resources. At this time, do you have any updates for the council? I know that you passed out a page right prior to the meeting.
Yeah, there's a lot of information, so I decided to print it out and kind of just concise it. So like take a minute to look over it.
Thank you, Member Arvelo. This is a lot of really good information. As we discuss this, I wish that we could have Member Reamer here because I know that he's like integral to the process.
Exactly.
So,
which is okay because I have the doc, so I didn't have enough time to send it to Ms. Griglin, so I will send it to Ms. Griglin and then we can give it to him and he can review it because obviously he's like one of the main people that needs to know this. But yeah, I tried to, like, some of them, if it doesn't have like a set number of what they give out, that means that we have to just tell them how much money we want from them. And a lot of these are just like we go to the website and they have an application on there, and that we fill out their application and then we submit it and then we wait for a via email decision. So yeah, I try to, this is like pretty much the main grant information. And these all are under like environmental and human services. Like I didn't just pick like, because a lot of them, I didn't really know what grants were. I knew what they were, but I didn't really understand how to approach it. And a lot of them are like specific, like they're only going to take this organization, or they're only going to take this project. So I try to focus on the environmental grants and the human service volunteering ones.
Definitely. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you for recognizing me, Chair. I did want to mention to the council once again, as I mentioned last meeting, that the council could look at opportunities with small businesses. You could possibly work with the financial department here at City Council to offer a tax ID in return for a donation, so that they can write their donation off on the business's taxes. That could be a great incentive, especially because small businesses, especially here in Cape Coral, do like to, contribute to youth groups and to organizations of the like. So I just wanted to recommend that could be an option for the council. Thank you.
Thank you. Definitely. Is there any way that we would be able to obtain a tax ID or
Let me find out.
paperwork about that?
Yeah. We have one. I don't know how that correlates with youth council, but I'll find out.
Yeah, because we need one for the Walmart one. The Walmart one is.
I thought the Walmart said they just worked with nonprofits.
It says that we need a tax ID to like register in the site that we have to be in.
Okay.
So yeah, we need a tax ID for that one, and that one's kind of a big one.
Thank you. So I believe that further discussion about this, we can postpone until next meeting and we can discuss with more members of the council. But I would just recommend that we take the time between now and next meeting to maybe find some more sponsorships, maybe some more grants, and share this with the other members. Though I really appreciate this. Thank you, Member Arvilla. All right. Moving on, we have item 10G, future presenters, continued discussion. At previous meetings, the Youth Council has discussed plans for inviting representatives from the community and Youth Council alumni to visit council meetings to speak. At the last meeting, council members decided to attempt to reach known alumni and provide them with administrative contact Grigland's information and have the opportunity to attend our meetings virtually through Zoom or on Google Teams in person or by sending in a video. Were any members successful in contacting Youth Council alumni? No? Yes, Member Rodriguez?
I'm not going to say I've been successful because I haven't gotten a response back yet, but I have tried to contact last year's member, McMillan, but I haven't gotten a response back yet.
Thank you. And I know that with alumni it can be difficult. Obviously they're going to college, they're moving away, and we don't maintain the same level of communication as we do now. But this item on the agenda, the future presenters, isn't just applicable to alumni. If there's anyone that you'd like to hear from, even just topics that are important to us, like I know Christian came and spoke to us about SA awareness and LGBTQIA+ awareness, but so things in our community that maybe there's an organization that you would like to hear from that's a nonprofit in our community, and you would like to just hear them talk to us, and we can learn more about how we in our schools can be advocates for them. I think that's really important too. I reached out to my sister, who in turn reached out to people who are on the council while she was there, but they're all out of state, so they cannot attend in person, but they're all working on their videos right now to send in to Ms. Grigland. So I'm very excited, and we'll have all those videos hopefully by next meeting. Be sure to maybe come to next meeting with maybe a few people in mind, or even just one person or one group that you would like to maybe hear from. And that would be great, so that we can continue not just doing our, we want to put in and get out and like learn from what we invest in here. So we want to invest and try to put as much of ourselves into it, but we also want to have other people invest and learn from them and hear them and grow from that as well. Definitely. So any other discussion on that? Nope. All right, next we have item 10H, special populations, continued discussion. At previous meetings, the council discussed our history of working with the Special Populations Organization and chose an event to attend. Members participated in the Halloween celebration. I would like to open discussion on the topic of continuing attendance at special population events. So maybe for the people who were able to attend the Halloween event, you guys can speak as to, your time there, or if you enjoyed it or what it was like. But I just kind of wanted to talk to you. I know that this was a past project of the youth council, and I know it can be hard sometimes, or maybe it can feel like another thing to juggle to keep carrying this on, but I think it's important to, maybe stay involved in the community as we do. So I just kind of wanted to hear your perspectives on that. Member Rodriguez.
Well, I wasn't there for the Halloween one, unfortunately, because I was a little bit more like displaced, and it was a little harder to do things around that time because of the hurricane. I have gone to Special Pops events in the past, such as the dodgeball one and the, what's it called? The things, like the little buildings that like.
The treehouse?
Yeah.
Treehouse.
Treehouse?
I know they had a treehouse painting. You didn't.
Birdhouse. It was birdhouse.
Oh, birdhouse.
That's what I meant.
That's
Yeah,
what
the
I meant.
birdhouse. Sorry about that. But yeah, I was there for.
I was thinking birdhouse.
Yeah, I was there in the past for events, and I feel like it was one of the best things that I've gotten to do with the youth council. So I would definitely recommend to going to these, even if like you can't make it the whole time, and like you have to either show up late, leave early. Ideally, you're there for the whole time, right? But we all know that's not always an option. It's okay. I feel like it would be better off if you showed up for at least some of it than none of it. That's my opinion, though.
Yes, Vice Chair Little.
I feel like it was pretty fun overall, but also there was this weird, I don't want to say disconnection, but like I didn't feel like, I didn't know what we were supposed to do there. Because we started a ride, we were sitting at a table for a while, and we just didn't know what to do. Eventually we got to like pass out foods, that kind of stuff, and we had a clear objective, but we didn't know what to do. We'd spend time, but that was sort of vague, and it wasn't really communicated to us that well, I want to say. So maybe communication on what specifically we're supposed to do, that would be nice.
Member Negron?
I'd just like to add that it was a really fun experience, and I would like to do it again. But if we were to do it again, I would like to have a little more communication with them, like beforehand, so we're not lost or confused, and we can do as much as we can.
Definitely. So just more of an instruction on what the council's responsibilities are. Member Arvelo?
Yeah, I think we came in thinking that we were just going to pass out things, but I do work with the special needs kids at my school, and like I was just getting into that program at my school and also working with special populations. I was like, okay, this is not what they want you to do. They want human connection. They want you near them. They want you playing with them. So I think that now, like the people that actually went, if we go again, we know that it's not just like volunteering. It's just like being with them and just having fun. So I think we should definitely do like a craft or something. That would be really fun. We can like take it home or do something with it.
Definitely. So, yes, Member Rodriguez?
I will also speak on that. I remember at one of the ones that I went to, there was a previous member there. I don't exactly remember who it was, but they were a senior. I remember that. But they had gone to the events before, and like when I was there, it was my first time going there. I barely spoke because I didn't really know anyone there. But then like the other person I was with there, who was the only other youth council member, they'd been there a couple of times, and then they were like talking a lot, talking to everyone there. And then when I went there the second time, I found myself a lot easier to talk to everyone there, and it was a lot more like easily when it comes to like that social aspect. So I will say that it does come with time, the building the connections and the relationships, and the awkwardness just goes away soon.
Definitely, thank you. So if it is okay with the rest of the council, I can reach out to Administrative Contact Grigland and request that we can get an updated schedule of, upcoming events, and maybe we can vote on another date to attend as a council. Great, thank you. All right, so next we have item 10.
I have a question. Whatever happened, were we ever gonna do that like Christmas event with them, or was that canceled or not approved?
I do believe I'm not sure. I know we had the, I know that just after the hurricane, a lot of things were kind of jumbled around. So I haven't heard anything about it. But I can reach out to Ms. Griglin to see if there are any updates regarding that event. But as of right now, I haven't heard anything about that, no. Okay. So I remember speaking about it, but I believe that, I'm not sure if it was one of the ones that we approved or if we only approved the Halloween one, because we had a number of dates that we were considering. So I will double check on that and reach out to the council members. All right. Any other discussion? Questions, comments, concerns? All right. Next, we have item 10I, strategic plan, continued discussion. With the selection of upcoming meeting dates, the Youth Council can focus more clearly on the planning and execution of the writing of our strategic plan. Following the approval of a meeting schedule, where we can begin the process of selecting a deadline and other crucial dates. We have discussed the setting of a date for writing our mission statement to give council members the opportunity to deliberate on the topic more in depth. It has also been suggested that council discusses the concept further during our meetings to secure a stronger understanding of our goals prior to that planning. Now, I know Advisor Mazurkiewicz had some feelings as to the best way for us to do that, but unfortunately he couldn't be there with us today, so I was going to ask him about his preference and his recommendation for our next steps in the process. Would you suggest any particular way? I know we talked about doing either the mission, selecting maybe a special meeting date to...
What did he want you all to do beyond, even before the mission and vision statement? Wasn't there a task that he assigned you all to do?
I know there was a SWOT analysis where we did a form, and it was like our strengths and weaknesses as a council. I know that was like the meeting before the hurricane.
Did you all do that?
I know we talked about it, and at the previous meeting we discussed bringing it back, or not the previous meeting, the previous meeting before the workshop, we talked about bringing it back.
On the interim, why don't each of you develop what you think that are the strengths and weaknesses of this council and send it to Ms. Griglin, and then she can put it all together, and then at the next meeting, you can talk about it and set a deadline, Chair, on when you all should get that to Ms. Griglin.
All right, so our next meeting is, I believe, January 13th. So prior to that, I want to give Ms. Griglin enough time to obviously not be overwhelmed by the responses when they're coming in. So let's set maybe January 8th, at least, for the date to submit your strengths and weaknesses of the council. I'm not looking at my calendar, so I don't know what day that is. I can pick a nice round one. Let's look at, I'd say, we can do January 6th, I believe. Let's do January 6th because that gives us a nice round date to submit our strengths and weaknesses to Ms. Griglin. And I'm not sure if everyone has the original form for the strengths and weaknesses for the council, but I believe it was just a box. So if you can find that same template, you can use that, or if you just would like to list, some strengths and some weaknesses, I believe that both would be great. Yes, member available. Great, thank you. Is there any discussion on the strategic plan? All right. Moving on. All right. Next on the agenda is item 11, next meeting agenda topics. Members, are there any other topics to consider? All right, we have business items, from today we have business items 10A through 10H. Are there any other agenda topics that you would like to add? Vice Chair Little?
Will we not want to add I? Because we're sending in our SWOT analysis, and then...
Yes.
Yeah. And I don't think we need A, because we just approved that part of the schedule.
So we will do that. All right, so we are going to, can I have a motion to add business items 10B through 10I to the next meeting agenda? Member Rodriguez?
A motion to add items 10B through 10I to the agenda.
And then do I have a second? Member Bella?
I second that motion.
Member Rodriguez made the motion, Member Bella made the second to add business items 10B through 10I to the next meeting agenda topics. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, motion carried. Moving on, we have item 12, reports. I will now open the floor for reports for the youth council members. Are there any reports at this time? All right. Moving on, we have next item 13, reports of the council liaison and advisors. Are there any reports from the council liaison advisors or staff?
One thing I didn't add when I talked earlier was when the council approved their meeting schedule calendar for next year, included in that calendar was March 29th, which will be the date of the joint youth council, city council meeting. So something for you all to look forward to, think about what you'd like to talk about. But that is March 29th. We know that it was very successful last year. And, you know, it's your opportunity to talk to those that are making key decisions of the city about what you think some of the wants and needs are from your perspective. So.
All right.
That's it.
Thank you. All right. Time and place of future meetings. The next regular meeting of the Cape Coral Youth Council is scheduled for Friday, January 13th, 2023 at 3 p.m. in council chambers. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Vice Chair Bella.
I motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? Member Arvelo? All in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? This meeting is now adjourned.